The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
Well, good evening. Here we are at the end of week 17 of the 2025 CFL season. Sheldon Jones, and what a week it was. The first weekend of fall. There's just something a little bit different about fall football. It's just so much better, man.
Yeah, very interesting weekend. Just before we get started off here, I want to bring it down a little bit. I had to go to Manitoba for my wife's uncle. He wasn't doing well. He passed on yesterday here, and just wanted to dedicate this episode in memory to Marcel Lussier. He's a big football fan. He cheered for the Bombers, but when I was there, he always would just tell me on the side that the Riders were his favorite team, and I love that about him. When he passed, he had a Rider hat in the hospital room with him. So it was just a weird week in general, too, because Tammy and I were planning to come and surprise you guys at the Elks game. And that would have been amazing, too, regardless of the outcome. But when we got a text on Thursday, kind of family comes first, and we ran to Manitoba to be with family. And again, sorry to start off on a down note, but just wanted to bring everyone up to speed. But again, yeah, crazy weekend of football. Friday looking good. My picks 2-0. We're doing great, and Saturday completely nothing. So that's CFL, baby. That's fall football, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat as well. I thought, Friday looking good. Saturday comes around, it all comes crashing down, and my wife's aunt passed last weekend as well. Yeah. So I do have a funeral to attend on Tuesday. So it's been some sadness this fall, some happiness this fall as well. But I know some people use the show as a bit of a distraction, and quite frankly, so do we.
Sure do.
Keeps us out of reality, and it definitely helps us that way. I want to get to an email that I got here from Hayden Burnett, which is HB Sauce. Once in a while, you'll see him commenting on the YouTube channel because he was the winner of the tickets from earlier this summer when we reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you guys again for the ticket giveaway. He went with a friend who is an Elks fan to the Riders game on Saturday evening, and we had a great time cheering against each other's teams. It was a great time, and even as a fan of the away team, it was amazing to see Commonwealth as full as it was. It's good for Canadian football when the Elks can fill their stadium. Appreciate the podcast and your guys' approachable demeanor toward the game. Your show is always my number one recommendation to any CFL fans I meet. And he did share some pictures as well. Just looks like they had an awesome time at the game. Thanks so much for the note. Glad you enjoyed the game. It was a great way to end week 17, but week 17 actually began in Montreal, where the Alouettes got a 38-20 victory over the Calgary Stampeders. The Stamps have sort of fallen in September, but here come the Alouettes. Davis Alexander, undefeated in starts in his young CFL career. Now it's a CFL record. Hey, I said at the Elks tailgate, watch out, Alouettes could win the Grey Cup. I got laughed at. I was told it's only one game. But you know what? I think we both maintain the Alouettes are a good team. Once they get healthy, it's going to be like a bunch of trade deadline acquisitions, and I think that's what we're seeing right now.
For sure, they're a good team, and this is exactly what, Jason Moss and all their players, and they kept saying that this is what it is. Like, as soon as we get Alexander back and the rest of our players, like, they were just hammered with the injury bug early on in the season, and they slid. They slid pretty far, but even that game against Saskatchewan when Saskatchewan had injury trouble, but they were able to go into Mosaic and kind of surprise everyone and beat them. And then now, they go and beat the other, top team in the league. And yeah, with Alexander back, with Philpott back, with Mac back, like they're an insane offense, and their defense is crazy too. Like they're getting healthy at the right time. They already have at least, well, unless Ottawa runs the table and they, lose every game, they basically have second place clinched because Toronto can tie them, but they have the tiebreaker over them. So, it's they're going to get a home playoff game at least. Just depends on if it's going to be in the first game or the second game, and then you only got to win one or two games, and Montreal is dangerous.
Well, and the Alouettes actually have a couple games against the Red Blacks still to come. So
They do.
we'll see if those Alouettes or the Red Blacks are going to be playing spoiler here and trying to get a couple up on the Alouettes. But it does look like in Montreal's favor at the moment. However, either way you slice it, it looks now like things are going to come down to the final couple weeks of the season. And it could very well come down to the final week of the season where playoff games are going to be played. All we know is that the Ticats do have a home playoff game clinched, and the Riders have a playoff spot clinched. But they haven't even clinched a home playoff game, which is pretty wild for a 10-4 team. But you look at the standings in the rest of the West. Calgary, Winnipeg, and BC all have 8 wins. The Stampeders do have a game in hand right now. The Elks aren't even out mathematically, who sit last in the West. And they are definitely trending upwards. But when I look at the Stamps Alouettes game, it felt like Alexander, of course, he's a young guy. He had all this frenetic energy at first. It's like he didn't really know how to control it. Actually, the whole team seemed like they had a crazy amount of energy to start the game. Alexander was overthrowing guys here and there, but I mean, it seems like the enthusiasm and the fight, it's all back with this team. And we'll talk about later the post-game interview with Isaac Adeyemi Berglund. And I don't know, they seem very dangerous to me, man.
Oh yeah, and you know, like we said, everything about what we said previously, they're a really good team, and they just happened to beat another good team who, they're missing a valuable piece, and that's Rimalotti. What do? They go out and they try and get Lorenzo Malden now. So that's something that I think is going to be huge for Calgary. But VA he struggled. He had an average game, but when you're playing against Noel Thorpe, you can't be average. You have to be able to, make them pay for some of the crazy stuff that Noel does in trying to confuse you. You can, if you can find a way to go over top that or whatever, but VA just wasn't able to get in a rhythm at all this game.
It was the Battle of the Philpott. So early on, Calgary actually had a lead there. Jalen Philpott scoring a touchdown there to take the lead. And then the Alouettes were able to get rolling. And Alexander displaying the arm strength that he has, some of it looking pretty effortless out there. And that throw he made to Charleston Rambo to put the Alouettes up was just an absolute dime. Looked really good. And here's where I think that maybe teams can beat the Alouettes. I think you can frustrate them.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think that they can frustrate other teams. And actually, there were some very frustrating moments in this game when it came to the officiating. And I can see some frustration going both ways. I'll point to a roughing the passer call that got called on Montreal where Davis Alexander straight up ducked. And you could, if you went back and watched the replay, pick up the language from one Dave Dickinson. I think he did say some really colorful things about the league. He said things about Toronto. He he was very upset. He ducked. But then we see later in the game when Vernon Adams Jr. rolls out and the defender comes in, it did really look like the defender tore his helmet off his head. And there ended up being no call on that play. I can really see why the Stamps be quite frustrated after this one.
Yeah, this is the time of the year when we don't want officials, missing calls or calling soft calls that can, help. Like I hate seeing that uh, that call, that roughing the passer. But at the same time, if you're going to make that the call, then you have to call that every single time a quarterback gets hit in the head. And we'll talk about another game later on here where that didn't happen. And uh, it's just frustrating because you don't know what is actually going to be a call. Like anytime there's ever a questionable call, like I have two or three people texting me being like, and giving differing opinions, like, no, that's not PI, or oh, that's definitely PI. And then I just text them back usually, well, what's the command center going to say? Because we don't know.
PI
So
and
then
roughing the passer can be quite the mystery.
yeah, and then they won't fix obvious things
Yeah.
like very obvious things, but they'll fix a procedure for an offside with a tiny
Yeah.
little 5 yard penalty. Like it just make it make sense. But um, I definitely could see why Calgary get frustrated at that point for sure.
And I think it was almost the same sequence where Clark Barnes gets hit. I I don't want to say it was a bang bang play. I think you could have made it either way. And then Dom Rhymes gets the penalty by clearly saying something to the ref. And I
Yeah.
think that drive ended up in a touchdown for the Stamps anyway. But it was one of those where, man, it just was um, not going Calgary's way at all. And then at the end of the game, Montreal starts taking penalties. And a lot of them were mouthing off kind
Mm.
of stuff. So that's why they are a cocky team. They are, and they used to be the lovable losers for the last little while, but then they won the Grey Cup, and Alexander, he can be cocky himself. He can be lippy himself. You could see Clarence Hicks basically slapped him in the face, trying to shut him up after that first touchdown. So I think if you can get the Alouettes emotional, there's already Jason Moss comments in the live chat. Matt Damon saying, Jason Moss isn't easily frustrated. Wait. So I think you can. If you can early on frustrate him in a game, that might be the key. The game inside the game.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. It's it's crazy though. I just think that this losing streak really kind of did a number on them because I think they all knew that they were still this good team. And I think, it was just all those games that they lost, they didn't like lose terribly. It's just they weren't able to get a win until they got to Saskatchewan and they did. But yeah, like you said before, Adiami Berglund after the game went off to the sideline reporter there, and so obviously I think when that's happening during the game too, I just think that the Alouettes just don't feel respected, and like you said, yeah, this could be a way that teams could figure out a way to get some easy penalty yards out of them.
Now, that Adiemi Berglund rant to Kenzie Lalonde, I loved it because it didn't look like Kenzie was expecting it, but it's the most Canadian thing ever. He goes off and then he says sorry.
Yeah, I loved it.
I think he
Yeah.
said sorry twice.
He
Said,
did. Yeah. It was a very polite
It was.
respect us rant, and
Yeah.
but even better, just him in his like black face paint. It just made it look even better and more intense. I loved it.
Yeah, that was good. And hey, whatever teams need to do to get themselves some bulletin board material, teams will do. And I think the Alouettes have found that. 26 of 36, 350 yards for Davis Alexander. That's a career high, actually. He had the one touchdown pass, but it was Shea Patterson with the hat trick of sneaks into the end zone. As a fantasy owner of Stevie Scott III, I would have liked to have seen him get a few more carries down there. He had 12 carries for 55 yards and only the one catch for 8 yards. In the Battle of the Philpots, I mean, who do you give this round to? 6 catches, 76 yards for Tyson, 7 catches, 64 yards, and the score for Jalen, but Tyson gets the win. I think it's a bit of a wash here.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit of a wash. I think Philpott had maybe the nicer catch, but Jalen had the touchdown there. So yeah, you know, neither of them. All they care about is the W. So I guess let's give it to Tyson. But that's they they both had pretty good games.
Tyson's getting pretty good at drawing pass interferences, I will say.
He is, yeah.
And I could see why the Stamps could get frustrated at a few of those. Dedrick Mills, 10 carries only, but 81 yards. Vernon Adams Jr., 19 of 29, a touchdown and an interception, but still maybe the highlight of the game in the second half from his own end zone, where in a couple years that might be a safety. But now he scrambles around, makes the big play. I think the drive ended up in a field goal, but it looked like certain danger for Vernon Adams Jr. in the Stamps offense.
Yeah, it was. There was like 3 times where I thought he got sacked, and he just kept getting out of it, and just to get that ball, and yeah, it was a phenomenal play. It's too bad that it was in the shadows of their own goalpost. In a couple of years, maybe he'd have a little bit more room up the middle because he wouldn't have to worry about the goalpost being in front of him. But
Wow, he still made it a big gain.
I know, I'm just joking.
Let's blame the goalposts on the Rough Rider 2-point conversion, though.
My God.
There was a lot more. I can't wait. I think I'm just going to go make myself a bowl of soup or something while I say, Sheldon, tell us about the Riders and Elks game. But the big story is that Calgary lost here. And still 6-2 inside the West. Actually, as among West teams, that's the best divisional record anyone has. But then that makes them 2-4 against the East this year. That is rough for the Stampeders here. And now Winnipeg and BC right on their heels. At one moment, it looked like the Stamps had a good shot at first place. And it could happen still with the Stamps having the tiebreaker with Winnipeg, with Saskatchewan. BC and Calgary play again, and with BC getting that last win, BC could leapfrog the Stampeders. That's a massive game there, but Calgary getting to first all of a sudden does seem quite unlikely.
It does, and it's really weird because they were firing on all cylinders, and I know VA got hurt, and I know Flo got injured, and that's arguably the 2 most important people on respective offense and defense there. So I guess that has ripple effects, but I didn't expect them to fall this much. But again, now that PJ Walker, even though he wasn't lighting anything up, now that he's hurt and presumably for the rest of the season, like this comes down to VA. And Malden is going to come in there and he's going to plug up the middle just like Flo did, but they're tanking at the wrong time. The Riders are tanking at the wrong time, but the Alouettes and the Bombers are both kind of coming back at the right time, and you don't love to see it if you cheer for any sort of green or red in the or even, well, actually BC, they're on the upswing too. Power rankings are going to be tough this week because there's going to be a lot of movement, I think.
Hey, Adiemi Berglund only said TSN and 3 Down Nation, but
Yeah.
I think your power rankings, I think you caught some strays there.
I felt it. I felt the daggers from the eyes. But at least he said sorry, so it made me feel a little better.
He did say sorry, so yeah, I do appreciate that. The last part of the Friday night doubleheader was on the West Coast. The BC Lions beating the Toronto Argonauts 27-22. It was kind of a grinding game. The difference was, in the first half, Nathan Rourke was having trouble protecting the football. The Argos were being tough on him. He got intercepted by Willie Drew. It seemed early on that the Lions were definitely trying to test Willie Drew, and for the most part lived up to it. Ended up, I think, underthrowing there. And Willie Drew took advantage of that one. It would have been a touchdown for Justin McInnes. But then, Jackson Finley getting the interception in return for the Argos at the beginning of the game there to keep them in it. That Lions defense, though, we know how the Argos looked, around Labor Day, and they were lighting it up. They popped 50 points on the Lions a few weeks ago. And maybe Nick Arbuckle's still feeling the effects of the calf injury a little bit there, but that Lions defense, since getting lit up by the Argos, has looked completely different. And they kept holding that Argo team to threes. And it was really big for them. Their D-line was giving Toronto all sorts of problems. Toronto would, whenever they got momentum, they'd take a penalty. Well, both teams were actually, this game was a bit of a flag fest. But Toronto's poorly timed penalties. But the defense, and TJ Lee, he's looking like he's been playing all year. So what an addition to that team. They look poised for a nice little run this fall, I think.
They do. And, it seemed like they were kind of going to be the crossover team, but I don't think they're going to be the crossover team. Like, I think that just because they have the tiebreaker over Winnipeg, I think that kind of puts them up into or wait, do they have the tiebreaker against Winnipeg? I could be wrong. Well, anywho, somebody in the chat will let us know. But this game just came down to BC scoring touchdowns, Toronto only being able to score field goals, and yet, like you said, BC's defense, 4 sacks. Arbuckle wasn't able to get anything going, and if it wasn't for Liram Haralahu, they wouldn't have done anything. So, again, another team is kind of falling by the wayside here. When they were poised, and it looked like they were, it looked early on in the season, despite their record, that they had one of the top candidates for MOP, and I don't think he's in the conversation anymore. But they've had all these distractions with Chad Kelly, whether he's going to come back or not. Arbuckle gets hurt, but it's tough because I kind of want to see Toronto doing well here. I want to get them to build up their fans. I want all of this stuff, but it's not. Another Toronto team's doing that right now. Shout out to them winning the AL East, but yeah, Toronto, they need to figure it out because before they were scoring points at will, but they were giving up more points than they were scoring. And it seems like the past couple of games here, they haven't been able to score those points at will anymore.
Winnipeg, they swept BC week 2 and 3. The Bombers winning 34-20 and then winning 27-14. Vicky in the chat. We met her Labor Day at Wayne's World, bringing that to our attention. So thanks for that. Douglas from the Argos Fancast. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. John Boss, I think it was number 51 for the Argos. 5 penalties on the O-line. I remember there was that face masking one late in the game. Oh yeah, that was rough. He had a rough day at the office. You know what? I think... you look 21 combined penalties, and I'm not gonna. Well, you know what? I'm gonna try to do the math here. 253 combined yards between the two teams here, including a grade 2 roughing the passer on Levi Bell of the BC Lions. I guess I thought we've seen more egregious roughing the passers than that, but not very many grade 2 25-yard penalties.
Yeah, it was definitely a penalty, but I didn't really see that it was. I've seen worse. I've seen plays that have been explained by certain fan bases that they are worse than that. But no, that just seemed like a regular, I shouldn't have hit him like that kind of call. But again, it's like, whose line is it anyway sometimes with the refs and what they decide? Because the video replay is the one who's going to upgrade it to a grade 2, right? So we don't know what's going on and what Bradbury and who else, Foxcroft, I don't know who else is up in there right now, but something else seems like it's up in there because sometimes they seem like they're a little high or something like that.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be in Vancouver, not Toronto.
Mhm.
The way things are going from the replay center. I think that what really happened in this game is when Rourke started running, and I
Yeah.
think he took his time. I don't think he really ran much until the fourth quarter. He and I'm actually looking. Benji Franklin had a great game early on, and then he takes that pass interference. Stanley Berryhill the third. So that was a tough one. It ended up in a Lions touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Rourke punching that in, but the big play was at the end of the game. Was it that final drive or the second last drive? 3rd and 1. Yep, when Nathan Rourke gets met by Wynton McManus, like a little behind the line of scrimmage, and Rourke sheds McManus to get the first down. What a play! I don't think you want to see your quarterback doing that all the time, but this guy's playing with fire, and Rourke shows up to BC Place wearing the Radically Canadian T-shirt. Wow, he's playing with some fire right now. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. It's exciting. I wish he wouldn't have had the slow start because he didn't really get me that many points in fantasy this week. But I guess the 3 picks certainly didn't help. But uh, yeah, I may not agree with him on all of the things that he said about the new rules, but I agree with his passion. I love his passion, and I love him coming in there and trying to uh, light the world on fire, I guess, a little bit. And that's what we need. We want our players to be marketed a little better. We want them to get out there, and sometimes they may not say what we agree with, or get out there maybe not for the right reason. But I think this was the right reason. It's just I think there's a lot of fans who are a little bit hurt by the changes who were able to see that and kind of rally behind that, even if they weren't BC Lions fans. I saw a lot of other teams fans really stoked on Rourke's comments there. So that can't be
Oh,
bad.
he even if he gets in trouble from the league, he made a lot of new fans that day.
Yeah, and they announced the fines. There was a lot of players fined last
There was
week,
like seven
and
or
and
something like that.
yeah, and he wasn't one of them. So maybe it'll come out next week. I think Stuart Johnson did say he already did get the chance to sit down with him. So maybe it was a hey, we love your passion, but maybe don't do that again kind of talk. But
Well, and
but
Rourke,
if he doesn't get fined, then other players are open season for saying whatever they want, kind of.
he said that he had the chat with Stuart Johnston, and then I think it was at a practice scrum. They asked him if he was happy with the results, and Nathan said, "Happy is not the word he would
Oh, I
use."
missed that part.
That was
Wow. Okay.
in a practice scrum, I
Fair.
think on Wednesday. I had a good chuckle at that. Um, Here's what's standing out to me for the Lions: Xander Horvath stays on the roster, and he was in there blocking. Like James Butler only got 7 carries in this one, 72 yards. But Xander Horvath was out there in the fourth quarter, and it seems like every time he gets the ball, he's running somebody over.
Yeah.
Could you see a scenario? And I think this is where the Lions have struggled a little bit, where, November rolls around and they got to go to Winnipeg and play in the West Final and kind of get pushed around. But now I'm seeing that they got some guys that can push others around. And Xander Horvath, in baseball, like the closer comes out for the ninth inning, like the fourth quarter, a couple minutes left, you put this guy in there. I think this would be a good move for BC.
For sure. Well, who's BC's coach right now? Who's able to see BC come in and not do anything against them last week? It's Buck Pierce. So I think he is anticipating what they need to do to be able to beat Winnipeg. So if that's what it ends up happening here. But um yeah, I love the swag. I love the being able to push people around. It's too bad that BC wasn't able to have this last year when they had the Grey Cup at home, but I'm here for it this year. I love a lot of what BC is doing, and if the Riders can't win it, they're probably the team that I'm kind of rooting for the most right now, to be honest.
Well, now it does look like there is going to be a crossover. The Argos moved to 5-10. I mean, they're not mathematically out, but for all intents and purposes, I believe I said that correctly. The Argos are in deep trouble. And looking like they are going to miss the playoffs. Nick Arbuckle, 28 of 38, 281 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Mackay Polk only had the one catch, and it was for a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Kevin Mittal had 8 catches, 83 yards. Jake Herslow, the leading receiver for the Argos, 10 catches, 104 yards, but the touchdown streak ends for number 87. It was a good run, but he still had himself a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's one of those new up and coming exciting players that we love to see. And yeah, it's too bad he couldn't get into the end zone, but hopefully he can keep it up and build on it at the end of the year here and come back next year and kind of cement himself as one of Toronto's go-to receivers.
And back to the rushing struggles for the Toronto Argonauts. Spencer Brown, 8 carries, 13 yards. Not going to win many football games if your rushing output is looking like that. The leading receiver for the Lions was Keon Hatcher, 4 catches, 87 yards. Since he was on my lineup, oh, man, I spent the $15K. You'd like to see a little bit more than that. Justin McInnes, 4 catches, 78 yards, and the touchdown. He really caught fire. He was quiet earlier this season, but getting it done now as the Lions get themselves another win. And then we move to Saturday, where...
Do we have to?
The Zach attack is back. You know what? In general, over 30,000 people at both Saturday games. Winnipeg selling out again. 32,343 in attendance at Princess Auto Stadium as the Blue Bombers smashed the Ticats 40-3. And it started off with Trey Vavel taking the opening kickoff to the house, and it was just off to the races from there. The Ticats did not have it at all. The Bombers, 514 yards of net offense. I know that Jamal Peters, the star cornerback for the Ticats, wasn't in this game, but they didn't have anything going against Winnipeg.
They did not. As soon as Vaval ran that, or Vavel, or however, even he doesn't know how to pronounce it. That was kind of funny. In the pre
Call me what you want.
Yeah. I was just sitting there watching the game, and I see that happen, and just I knew the game was over at that point. You can't, like in Winnipeg, when they are able to get off to a hot start. I've seen it so many times in Banjo Bulls as a Rider fan. There's just nothing that a team can do to get back in, and it was just one of those games where you knew it was just the Blues. They were gonna get it, and yeah, let you go, because there's I don't have much to say other than
I don't think there
got
is
their ass kicked.
I don't think there is too much to really say. Douglas saying Hamilton threw the game just so Scott Milanovich can all but eliminate the Argos at BMO. And a lot of talk about that game. That's the future of football game. The Buffalo Bills MLSE game, where it's being talked about that there's going to be over 20,000 people there. I know there's the $20 adult tickets and the $5 youth tickets, which, correct me if I'm wrong, are not available for other games, which is kind of weird. But
it makes sense.
If those Cats go in there and basically end Toronto's season, Scott Milanovich, a former coach with the Argos, winning the 100th Grey Cup there. What a staff that 100th Grey Cup winning Toronto Argonauts team had, by the way. I got to look back. I think Mike O'Shea was the special teams coordinator for the Argos, and there was some other guys on there as well. Yeah. Austin saying, are there even 20,000 people in Toronto? Oh man, I'm such a prairie like hoser when I go there. I'm like, holy crap, these buildings are wild, and everybody walks like they walk like 20K an hour. It's crazy.
Mm,
And they're just
yeah.
bumping into me. I'm like, man, I'm just such a menace when I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, Vancouver's a lot like that too. But yes, Austin, there was 43,000 people at Rogers Center tonight or this afternoon for the Blue Jays game. So they could get 20,000 people. That'd be nice. But
Can
if they
I?
go
Jays
and they
fans
lay an
are the
egg,
worst, though. Like, they are the worst.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although, I don't know. Look, I haven't. Like, a Jays and Mariners series would actually be pretty wild if that happens in the playoffs.
Oh, it would. It absolutely would.
I don't even know what the bracket looks like, unfortunately, but maybe we will get there for one of these games. The thing is, the Bombers are just different when Zach is in. That's 20 of 25, 367 yards, a touchdown, and that touchdown to Dylan Mitchell. I don't know how Amos could have covered that any better.
Mhm.
But it got right in there to Dylan Mitchell. I think Zach was 8 for 8 for 130 yards in the first quarter, and it would have been more. It would have been a touchdown, but I think there was a holding call on the final play of the first, so it would have been even more dominant from the Bombers. He looks like he's back with a chip on his shoulder. Nobody thinks I should be playing anymore. Well, I'm going to show you that I should be on this football field and making things happen. And it did feel like the Bombers had something to prove, Sheldon. They wanted to shut down number 89 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And it did seem like the Ticats were forcing the ball in there to him a little bit. They wanted him to have the good game, but if it wasn't there, they were just, and I know that Lawler has the ability to make these circus catches, but early on, it was clear that that was a focus, that the Bombers were going to shut him down, and Hamilton kept trying to push it. At least it looked like that.
Yeah, as soon as I saw kind of Dylan Mitchell start off, I was like, man, this guy is playing like he heard every single media person playing that Kenny Lawler clip saying they signed him first. And uh, good for him for doing that. And Kenny Lawler, I don't know. I don't know if I just kind of noticed this right now, but it seems like he's always trying to high point the ball, but he's going up early, and then more often than not, it just seems like he comes down with the ball anyway, like at the like close to the
Right.
ground. Something just seems off about like even when he shouldn't need to like jump in the air, it's like he's jumping to try to make it look like a circus catch. I don't know if he's trying to get himself back into like the MOP category, like with or running with like these amazing circus catches. Like it just seems to me if he would spend a little less time jumping and trying to make it a crazy catch instead of actually just putting his gloves on it, like some of those catches, again, great play by the defensive backs. I'm not taking anything away from them. It seems like Kenny's trying to make his catches a little bit harder than they should be.
It's just dominance. That's what happened here. And I think we can only really just talk about what's going to happen going forward. Like, is this a turning point for the Bombers? Uh, or was last week the turning point when they went to Ottawa and they 3 completed passes and won, and now Zach's back. He looks healthy. Dembski's in there. Wilson's in there. He's making plays. Brady O. Once he starts rolling, like, what are you gonna do? 15 carries, 98 yards for him, 6 catches, 53 yards. So 151 yards from scrimmage for him. Dembski 114 yards. Wilson 97 yards, and now Jarrett Stearns, who's been a nice solid addition to that Bombers team, back in there with a couple catches, and Dylan Mitchell, I think. He was hyped up at the beginning of the season a little bit. Bomber fans were excited to see him. He had some good years in Edmonton, and then he couldn't get on the roster. And then that touchdown catch he made, unreal. from Zach Collaros. And then you look at the Ticats. Greg Bell did have success on the ground again, 11 carries, 88 yards, but the Ticats didn't bother using him early on. You thought you'd try to slow down the momentum of the Bombers, like try to keep things going, but they rather just try to throw deep and beat them that way, and it didn't work, and the game quickly got away from them. So they flushed this game, and now they go off to Toronto. At this point, that could be anybody's game Saturday at BMO. I don't think I'd be surprised anyone who wins that one.
No, but I think just at this point of the season, it's going to be like that for every game because we've seen good teams, crap the bed, and we've seen what we perceive as bad teams beat good teams. So, I think that honestly, anything can happen in that game. You would think Hamilton is going to want to try their best to get back into there because Montreal's surging, and Hamilton still wants to have that bye. Hamilton, the longest Grey Cup drought in the CFL currently, and they want to make it so they only have to win one game to get there instead of two. And if they're gonna just drop games that are winnable, because I still think this game was winnable. It's just they got off to a terrible start. They were in such a hole early, and like you said, they're flushing it, and they got to just get back to the basics and try to go into Toronto and see what they could do on that defense instead of Winnipeg's.
So Austin is in our live chat. He has been number one on site-wide CFL Game Zone and Pick'em, and he's now slipped to number 2. He's rattled. He did pick the Ticats.
That happened to me in one of our pools.
Oh, well. Really? And he did pick... Oh, you slipped to number 2 in that pool, too? Oh, no.
2 or 3, yeah.
And he also picked Edmonton. He said he can't be that mad at Edmonton. He's pretty mad at Hamilton, though. So that brings, the Bombers, the Stamps, the Lions, all locked up in the West Division. 8-Bit Paul, Lions fan. Thank you for the $2 super chat again. That's much appreciated on these live streams. So we're going to have to wait and see how this West Division shakes out. Douglas reminding us that it's 9,436 days since the Ticats last won the Grey Cup. And then I don't that Vicky mentioning as well, I had vibes of 2019 with that Bombers team. I know Andrew Harris isn't there anymore, but Strevler coming in, it felt like everybody was writing this guy off and kind of deflated on him. And I get it as the starting quarterback, but he got 3 touchdowns himself too. And that 11-yard touchdown, that was Strevler at his absolute best. The energy that they brought, they're going to be tough to beat if they're going to be able to play like that the rest of the way. That's just the way it is. So those Riders do have to play the Bombers still this season, even if they do have the tiebreaker. And the Riders got to figure some stuff out fast. And they got a loss, 27-25 at Commonwealth Stadium. Should and need to mention, we got shocking news before the game started, and that was the owner of the Edmonton Elks, Larry Thompson, passed away. I guess there was surgery and complications from that and didn't recover. Shocking news. And yeah, our condolences out to Larry Thompson's family and the Elks organization, the tributes that they had, and actually league-wide. It was certainly felt across the CFL. And I got to see Leanne there. Leanne and James. Leanne made her first trip to Commonwealth since 2019. And yes, it was so good to see her there. She made a sign, "This W is for Larry." And on the back, she had a little watermelon wedge that said "Riders suck." But we will ignore that part. But great work. You know what? She's not lying. So it was so good to see her out there, and 30,000 people at Commonwealth Stadium. Good to see that again as well. It doesn't matter what shade of green somebody was wearing on Saturday. The sun goes down, the stadium lights come on. I get the shivers because that fall cool air. Yeah, that was a special night at Commonwealth, no matter who you were cheering for.
It sure looked like it, yeah. I know we had to be where family was, but when I saw that that you were making it to the game there, I was a little bit sad I wasn't able to see you there. And but great things, great to see people there. Great to see lots of tributes for Mr. Thompson. Yeah, losing Ted Gavaya and now Larry, like it back
Couple
to
tough
back.
weeks,
They're
man.
both way too young, and both guys who literally just got their dream. Larry's dream was owning the Elks football team, and he just was able to do that 2 years ago. Ted, dream, hometown Hamilton Tiger Cats GM, dream, and both gone far too early. So rest in peace to both of them. And as soon as I saw that, and this is kind of tongue in cheek, but I was like, the Riders are losing this game because the Elks are going to play their hearts out for Larry, and uh, certainly seemed like that. It certainly seemed like there's a quarterback for the Elks who still has quite the chip on his shoulder for playing the Riders, because he definitely said some things after the game that
Did he? I
had a
missed
few.
this. We'll get
Oh,
to
he said
that.
he said F the Riders. That's what he said in the
What?
pregame or the postgame thing. F the Riders.
Like, censored himself or
Oh no,
full?
no. He didn't censor himself. I censored myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So anywho, but
Not
he
many Jesus sprinkles with Mr. Cody Fajardo these days.
no, no. And you know, he could say F the Stamps because that's where the guy who got rid of him is now. Not the Riders anymore. But I digress.
That's wild. This game was a little bit a tale of two halves. Like, the Riders D line all over the Elks in the first half. And I was like, is this going to look like it did at Mosaic in August? But the problem was the Rider offense could do nothing. Like, on the first drive, there were, what, 3 turnovers?
And the
Because
Riders,
Trevor Harris gets picked off, Riders force the fumble, get the ball back, and Harris gets picked off again. Not
yeah,
good.
you're not gonna see too many two interceptions in
Yeah,
one possession.
exactly.
And I looked it up. I was so rattled at halftime. I looked it up. In the past 6 games, the Riders have 12 points in the first quarter.
Whoa.
And 2 of those games, there's none. Like you say, this reminded you of the game in August in Mosaic. That's because the Riders' offense is still doing the exact same thing that they were doing in August at Mosaic. Like they, for whatever it is, I don't know if they're pre-scripted first couple series plays are just terrible, or if Trevor Harris is like literally is just hurt and he's playing through it. Like he was not accurate. And he had, what was it, 12 games where he was the most accurate, like over
Yeah.
70%. He has a CFL record for it, and then he gets the game where we think he had a concussion, but he said he had calf issues. And he, since that game, he hasn't played the same. Like I don't know. I'm not. I jokingly put in our group chat free Jake after you said free Trey. Uh,
I said
but
free Trey because Cody was getting
I
sacked left
know.
and right.
Yeah,
And then I
I
don't know
know.
if they showed it on TV, but Cody was limping pretty hard. And I don't know if he got stepped on his foot by his own O lineman or something. But there was one point when he was doubled over in pain on the sideline. But I don't know what happened. I was in the stands, but yeah, he wanted to get back out there and get it done, and he eventually did. But I don't know if there are any Ottawa fans in the chat. Ottawa fans, do you see that? What's that meme where it's like first time and the guy's got the noose from that, and they'll say, "Hey, this is the Trevor Harris we know." Rider fans are saying, "Oh no, I thought this guy was good." I don't know. It seems, and this goes back to before Corey Mace, that the Riders the last few years have been a summer team. Unfortunately, Grey Cups aren't won during the summer. They're won in November. And that has been the recurring theme for the last little while.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, I thought losing against Montreal was going to be like the kick in the ass that this team needed for them to kind of come together and realize, hey, we got to be better. We're a 10-win team. Like, I think they're the worst 10-win team I've ever seen right now. Like, they're not playing full games. They're not beating the teams they should beat. They're losing to teams that they should not lose to. And, I don't think early on, I think the Riders were scoring at will. Their defense was kind of letting them down and letting teams get back into the game. And then right at the end, they would seal it and do something like, when Tavon Campbell got that, the pick two in the Labor Day game to seal that, like, their defense was kind of bailing them out after getting them in a hole. And now it seems like the defense is actually playing pretty good. I think Corey Mace is sending pressure now. I think they're doing well, but the offense can't do crap until it's like 2 minutes left in the game. And then for whatever reason, it's like they can march the field and come back and score 2 touchdowns. And it's like, okay, cool.
There were no pushing the ball down the field at all from the Riders, which kind of surprised me. Sam Emelis back into the fold, and they didn't push the ball at all. And then in the third quarter, this is the big moment of the game. It is not the reason that the Riders lost. AJ Ouellette getting them on the board in the third quarter. That was a 110-yard drive from the Riders, which is thinking, whoa, like, where was this in the first half? They took that illegal block penalty. I think Ajo took it, and then the Riders drove the length of the field, ending in a touchdown there, and then they didn't get the 2-point conversion. Then it was the fourth quarter where I don't know even what to say. It was actually right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Keon Julian Grant makes the catch. He fumbles the ball, forced by Sapp the third. Kenny Onyeka recovers it and takes it to the house. And in the stands, to me, that looked like a clear fumble. That was like, 20 yards right in front of where I was sitting. And the ref calls him down by contact, which would have been fine. However, he blew the whistle. And that is what took, I think fans are still wondering, why isn't that a touchdown? The ref blew the whistle too early. And for reasons that I still don't quite understand, even if the ref blew the whistle at the wrong time, why can't they change that? I don't care what sport it is. It seems like the whistle is like the ironclad, carved in stone law. Well, this actually cost the Riders some points at this point, and the Riders, were they forced to challenge that?
No, I don't believe they did challenge it. I think
It was just a replay center thing, but
yeah, it was just the replay center, and yeah, like they said they came out, and this was still when Randy was the commissioner, and they said, because there was like 2 games in a row where there was brutal calls, and they made a change
with that
in
immediate
the
and clear recovery stuff. Yeah,
but they said they were gonna let plays go that were questionable like that, and let the plays play out, and then go back to video, which they have been doing. There's been a lot of times when, like, for sure that a ball is an incomplete pass, and they just let it keep going because it's questionable on whether it could be close. And yeah, this was bull, and I there was no way that anyone was gonna catch him. Nobody did catch him. Like it's not like you hear a whistle and you're in the command center. It's like, oh God, I have to close my eyes. I can't see anything after this.
Well, in
Like,
the Elks, they had full on effort to the end of that play. They almost got him out at the 1. So it's not
yeah,
like they stopped and stood and watched it
yeah,
happen, you know?
yeah. And so in the chat, we got Matty D. He's got a question for us, and he says, "Do you think this Trevor talk would be much more silent if they come away with points instead of missed field goals or receive fumbles in the first half?" He threw 2 picks in the first two series. Like, I think that that kind of takes away some of that, but he's not the only person in charge of the offense, but he's the guy he needs to take this on his shoulders. He needs to say, I need to be better. And he has done that the past couple weeks, but talk is cheap. Sorry.
Okay, Isaac.
And Addy Abby Berman, yeah.
Talk
I'm
is
kind of
cheap.
being sorry to Matt.
Sorry.
Like I do I'm sorry. I still love you, but come on.
So then right after that whole fumble shenanigans thing, the Riders kick a field goal, which I know Lothar is catching some heat because if that Rider touchdown stands, we can assume that that's 3 points or 4 points. Even if we'll just say it's 4 points. And then 2 missed field goals. However, both of those field goals are from like north of 50.
Yep.
So it's tough, I think, blaming him in this instance. However, earlier in the season, there were some very makeable kicks missed, which probably magnifies what's happening now. And I think a lot of Rider fans very worried about the prospect of a big game in the playoffs being in the balance on the foot of Brett Lothar.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily think it's fair to say that his points actually cost us the game here, and this was the first time this season that it did. I understand they lost by a cumulative amount of points that he didn't get for us, but again, if the refs do their job there, we get 4 more points. If the offense does their job in the first quarter, maybe we get like some more points. I'm not gonna crucify the guy over 50-yard plus field goals. Am I gonna be upset when he misses them? Of course, because Brett used to be money when it comes to the longer ones, and he would just have the odd short kick that he sucked at. But I I just I had a big problem with people in this game blaming this one on Lowther because yeah, he missed 2 field goals. They were tough field goals. This is his first week with a new holder because they just decided now they want to change the punter, which I guess he did have better punts than Couch, which great, but um yeah, this one wasn't on Lowther. He hopefully he has a chance to kick some more field goals down the stretch here, but the offense has got to do the work here because the defense did the work, but then they just kept having to go back on the field after every 2 and out or every interception or fumble. Like they got tired.
And then that fumble incident, that was the turning point in the fourth quarter for the Elks. It became the Justin Rankin show after that. Keon Julian Grant had a big 26-yard completion. It seemed like that side of the field with Sapp and Fields is what the Elks were really testing. And then that 37-yard touchdown from Rankin, he just turned on the Jets and he was gone. But how many times have we seen that this season? That's not really a surprise there. And then the Riders get the ball back and they go back 2 yards. Not pretty. And then Justin Rankin gets another touchdown there and puts the Elks up 24-12. And Fajardo, that 44-yard completion to O.J. Hilaire, who ended up stepping out of bounds at the 5, had the Commonwealth faithful loud and I was a part of the Elks noise in the Labor Day rematch against the Stampeders. I was quiet when the Elks were on defense this time around, but man, the cowbells are still ringing in my ear today. They were loud, they brought the noise, and they erupted that Hilaire pass. It looked like Roland Milligan had some help. Maybe he thought he had the help behind him there. And he had a big hit in this game, by the way. Baldonado was good for the Riders, but that OJ Hilaire, this guy, he's coming on for the Elks. He had a big play there. Justin Rankin ended up the drive, and that's when I guess Trevor Harris woke up. And the Rider defense, they marched down the field 67 yards in a minute 17. So at this point, it's 24-19. And I texted you, this is some big faith in the defense to kick the ball off deep with 2 minutes to go. And the Riders sent the house on 2nd and 7. OJ Hilaire gets it again for 42 yards. Fajardo, the Elks were ready for that one. The Elks get another field goal to go up 8 points. And then the Riders have 81 yards to go with 47 seconds on the clock. And Tommy Stevens punches in the touchdown to put them down 2 points with no time on the clock. Much like the Labor Day Classic in Regina, except the opposite way. And the Elks snuff out that 2-point attempt for the Riders to send this game to overtime. Out? Well, I guess the Riders screwed it up themselves.
That was horrible.
I don't know what that was.
Like, obviously, maybe a Joe had heard the wrong route or something, but again, like I hate that play call. Like, I hate throwing a deep fade to the far end of the end zone, and so this is a thing that I really do hope moving those goalposts in a year and a half here actually does open up stuff for when it comes to these 2-point converts, because when you have Tommy Stevens, you only need to go 2 yards, right? It's on the 2-yard line. Like, why don't you just have him in there? It's like, I understand they're going to try their best to collapse on that, but I hated the play calling there when it came to that. And yes, thank you, Shane. That's very appreciated and unnecessary, but we do appreciate it. It's just, but I was so, like, I was just rattled this entire game sitting there that I was just like, they don't deserve this win. Like, and obviously if they would have won, they would have deserved it because they actually got the win. Okay, 3-yard line. I still take touchdown Tommy at 3-yard line.
Well, AJ had 6 yards to carry, and he got shut down on the previous 2-point conversion. So,
yeah,
it's not like that. I understand. I do think there would have been a better high percentage passing play, especially that they had momentum from driving down the field, But yeah. And that Elks crowd, many people had left. Some Rider fans left because they thought the game was over. Elks fans wanting to beat the traffic. But that pop was like Stone Cold Steve Austin, the glass shattering in the stands. So good for Elks fans bringing the noise and getting that big victory and keeping the season's hopes alive. But you had posed the question, are the Riders the worst 10-4 team in history?
Well, it's just overreaction theater, I think, for me. But like, it just obviously it's so frustrating because I think they can be so much more. Like, I don't think they should be undefeated, but I just think that the 2 games against Calgary, they just plain crapped the bed, and the game against Montreal, they had injury issues, so I can kind of understand. But again, you have to coach the guys up who are the next man up, and even if it was the 4th next man up. Exume should have been better in that game, but there's a lot of games that the Riders won that they probably shouldn't have. The Toronto game where that started off the whole garbage football era of the CFL here. You know, they they were able to win the game because of an amazing play by Mario Alford and some blocking, I guess. But there's just, the game when Tevon Campbell got that pick too. Winnipeg was driving. Winnipeg had all the momentum. They should have won that game. It just seems like, but then again, there's sometimes when they just flat out outplay the Bombers in the Banjo Bowl. They flat out outplay the BC Lions twice. Like, it just, I don't know what this team is. And I guess I can understand maybe Calgary Stampeder fans because I think they're thinking the same thing because even with VA back now, and it just, you think that things are going to go, and then they're just sliding, and Hamilton maybe too. I don't know. It just seems like the kind of three juggernauts from the beginning of the season are kind of starting to slow down here a little bit, and it's weird, but it's great for all the other fans of the league. Horrible for me, but great for viewership, great for excitement. So I'm here for it. It's just I'm super rattled. This is like I had the opportunity to see the best ever win total in my life as a Rider fan, and it just kind of seems like they're just having that always mid-season slump, but it's too close to the last third for my liking right now.
They just didn't have the intensity, and the Elks did. The Elks have playoff lives to fight for. The Riders know they're in, and the next couple weeks here are going to be telling. It's really unfortunate for Edmonton's sake that they went out east and lost 2 games in a row on a last-second field goal. The chances to get into the playoffs would be infinitely better if they took one of those games. But the Riders go to Ottawa, and if you're a betting man, who's finishing first in the West?
Excuse me, sorry. If I'm a betting man, I still think it's the Riders currently. I don't know if that's my Homer glasses on, but I'll say this: I am not really a betting man lately because I haven't bet in a few weeks.
So the BC Lions, they need, I think they need, well, obviously, they need to sweep their 3 remaining games. And that's at home to Calgary, that's at home to Edmonton, then that's in Regina. So that would bring them to an 11-7 record. The Riders, they do have Ottawa, and then they have Toronto, and they should be winnable games, and then after that, it's Winnipeg and BC. So they need to win those East Division games.
Then they can start resting a little bit.
Right. So, yeah, if they're not awake for that next game in Ottawa, then it's in trouble. As for the Edmonton Elks, like I said, home field advantage is still alive there. 28,000 in that rematch against Calgary, and then 30,000 here against Saskatchewan. And this is why I do think, and yeah, everybody in the chat currently is going to say I'm wrong, and that's fine. Even if there is a 10th team out east, I would prefer 10 games in your division and 8 games out of your division. I think that the CFL nerds would like to see even games, but I think the general population that are buying the walk-up tickets in Calgary and Edmonton and wherever, yay, Ottawa's coming to town. I think it means a whole... Even if I go to a game in Regina, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, let's go. Oh, great. Toronto's in town. It just doesn't bring the same atmosphere. So that's why I would like more of those, and make the division games mean more. That's because when I see what happened here in Edmonton, more people coming for the Sask game, more people coming for the Calgary game. We'll see. Winnipeg is coming Thanksgiving. They do seem to travel okay, but I guarantee you if it was an Ottawa game on Thanksgiving, nobody's inspired to go, let's beat Ottawa. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I land on that.
I hear you. I'm not definitely against that. I love rivalry games. I just if they can make it like, in the NFL, sorry, we don't want to be like the NFL, but they have it so that, you kind of know what team you're going to play every 4 years or whatever it is, because they do play more divisional games, just because of the sheer amount of teams that are in there. But I think having what you said, a 10-8, I think that is actually good, because you get the Bombers and, let's say, the Stamps extra 1 year, and then the next year you'll get the Elks and the Lions extra. So yeah, I'm for that. I don't think everyone, should be against that.
Well, I think everybody they want the teams coming at least once a year, and I get that.
I get that, but I don't care about that. I care about the I want 5 games every week. I want, or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
like I want, you only need 1 or 2 bye weeks, not 3 bye weeks. You can shorten the season a little bit there. Like that's what I want the 10th team for, and the revenue, obviously. I couldn't, the biggest part about it being an equal schedule of two here and two there, one there, 1 year. Like I don't care about that, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's so much player movement that, like, if you want to see one of the stars, he might be moving to another team. Anyway, if we do
Yeah.
look at the stats in this one, Fajardo 18 to 23, 305 yards, protected the ball. Justin Rankin 14 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. It does seem like for the Elks, they can be predictable with their running plays once in a while. And so they're working in second and long a lot of times. Keon Julian Grant had 4 catches for 89 yards. Curly Gittens Jr., 4 catches, 66 yards. Hilaire at 86. And Benjamin Victor had 49. The leading receiver for the Riders, Keyshawn Johnson, including the big, 46-yarder on the final drive. 8 catches, 119 yards for him. Sam Emilus in his return, 7 catches for 63 yards. Tommy Neal continues to be solid, 64 yards there. And AJ Ouellette gets over 1,000 rushing yards, 19 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown for AJ Ouellette. Well, there we are. How'd your fantasy week go, Sheldon?
Mid, I think I had like 120 points. Wasn't wasn't great, wasn't terrible. I don't know if I won or not. I don't know if I made the playoffs. I really wasn't paying attention to that, unfortunately.
I think my expect. I used to think if I had 100-yard week, I had a good week. It doesn't seem like that's good enough
I
anymore.
had 101 points. Sorry, not 120. 101.
So I had 102.9,
There you go. You did better than me. We
and
had a very similar team though, so that makes sense.
and I guess I may have helped you out in the playoff race because I was against Andrew from the Turf District, and I beat him by almost 10 here.
Great work.
So I beat him by 10.2. So Sheldon Jones, I may have helped you. However, I
I,
can't remember who you were against Trey, right?
I believe I was against Trey, yeah. But he
And
already had a playoff locked up, but I don't know if I won or not.
and you got a win against him by 24 and a half points.
Wow. Okay, so I might be in the playoffs.
He had a rough week. Let's see.
Playoffs?
Oh, he took Bo Mitchell as his quarterback.
Hmm. Yeah, that'll happen.
That'll happen. Um, I guess that's it. Week 17. Do you like doing this live on Sunday night?
I do. I love the interaction. I love that there's 33 people right now watching with us. I say we make this a regular thing, buddy.
Okay, okay. Tim Capper, Alouettes flight deck in the house, saying Riders losing the last two to teams with less than 5 wins is crazy. Or teams with 5 less wins is crazy. Wow.
It is. It's crazy as mustard on poutine. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, but I've seen
Matt's
people
saying
do
there
it.
are a lot of teams in this league who would be very angry when it's their year not to have the Riders. I don't know if
We
the
can't be
Rider,
everything
yeah, I don't know if the Rider bump is, I mean, like in
in
Toronto
the
or Ottawa.
West. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Well,
Edmonton and
I
Calgary.
Actually, like it's gonna be in Winnipeg. Well, Winnipeg sells enough tickets right now.
Yeah, there's
But
no rider bump there anymore.
in BC, there's definitely a rider bump. And Calgary,
Saskatchewan's going to want more Labor Day games.
I think Matt's right, boys. I think Matt's right.
Oh, we didn't even mention that there are going to be 2 games in Kelowna next year.
Yes.
So let's wrap up the show on that. What a difference in atmosphere with the Lions announcing how they're going to have 2 games in Kelowna as the World Cup is going to be displacing the Lions out of BC Place. And then you contrast that to Toronto. And I think Argo fans are even more deeply hurt. But it looks like it's going to be a darn good time in Kelowna. However, that Okanagan heat, I don't know if I can handle it. I would like to go there for a football game. They need like an Ogopogo mascot and all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, Doman doing cool things to have the Lions playing in Kelowna.
Yeah, I'm hoping that one of those games is a rider game, but I doubt it because, like Matt said, they're gonna want the riders in their actual barn where they can have 30,000 people and open up the upper deck. So but does that mean that the concert is going to be like the third week of the season? Like, is the World Cup right at the beginning of the season? Because they're playing their preseason game in Langford too. So
yeah,
I think that so that'll be interesting. Waiting until week 3 to see who Amar gets to play that opening game concert.
That's a good point.
Make that the rider game so I can come to it.
Well, they have the riders, so they don't need to sell more tickets. So
I want a rider game with 50,000 people, and we get to see Eminem. I'm putting it out there. Amar, get Eminem this year.
That'd be wild. That would be wild. Hey, there's the music. That means our time is pretty much over here on YouTube. That's week 17 of the 2025 CFL season. I'm Travis Currah. He is Sheldon Jones. You can join us on YouTube, subscribe so you know whenever we put out a video, a short, go live. You can rate, review, and subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher. toandout.ca. You can find the Patreon there and support the show. But for Sheldon Jones, I'm Travis Currah. Take care of yourself and each other. We'll talk to you soon.
The Two and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to Two and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.